You have what you gave, you had what you spent, you lost what you kept.
I always think that philanthropy to me means fun. I kind of believe in having fun in life. I don't think there's much point in living it otherwise. And I think that applies to philanthropy too. You've got to get satisfaction out of it, and you shouldn't be ashamed of that.
Absolutely, it feels good. That's perhaps what philanthropy is about. It's about people being part of improving things, making things better.
And for me, it really means doing good, not just doing well. It means, as a business person, having a purpose beyond profit.
For the Mercer's company, philanthropy is the reason it exists.
Philanthropy isn't, I think, to be pushed at people to make them feel guilty to give. This is about actually people being part of something good and enjoying it.
I don't see philanthropy at all in a sort of coarse, vulgar way about just writing checks or going to galas, but I see it more as an ethos, more as conviction, more as a set of values, time, talent, and treasure.
My wife and I gave a gift of just under £2,000 to a festival in a wonderful community called Beeswing, which is in Scotland, and it's a community for children with learning disabilities, indeed young adults. And I got the best thank you letter I've ever had with that, which was a photograph album put together by the young folk of the festival and a cheque for the change on the money they hadn't spent. I think we got enormous pleasure out of that, and I can't really think how we could have got more pleasure.
I think philanthropy is really vibrant in the UK. I think we have a fantastic culture of philanthropy.
I think the spotlight has been put on philanthropy in particular at the moment because of the economic situation. But I think it's also worth remembering that British people are actually very generous. I believe we're in the top 10 in the world of givers.
I think we should be hugely proud of it. I mean, 56% of us give money to charity every year. What is more disappointing is the quantum that the richest give. A lot of rich people, and indeed the mass affluent, if I may use that phrase, are very generous. But the level is sometimes lower than our friends in the United States. So we give £2 per £1,000 we earn at that level, the wealthy, and they give £90.
I think to usher in a proper, long-term, sustaining golden age, as you describe, of philanthropy, one has to sort of inculcate, and that's the word, teach, expose philanthropy, service, giving, sharing, generosity to children at a very young age.
I think secondly, we can get young professionals giving at an early stage in their career, and groups like Young Philanthropists plays an important role in that.
There are tax incentives. It's recognised, it's valued.
And it's not something that's just for those who are very religious or very Christian or very rich or very much involved in social welfare services, but it's for everyone. They just need to have to understand it and moreover understand what they're passionate about and how they want to channel that passion.
I salute this exhibition because actually it's going to create in the city, I hope, greater knowledge about giving, greater knowledge about the fun and the excitement around giving.
You know, I teach a course at Harvard Business School, and one of the questions I always ask people is, if you were told by sort of the great guardian angel today at noon that you were going to die tomorrow at noon, what would you do in the next 12 hours? In fact, by going through this exercise, sometimes people quickly think through how are they broadly philanthropic.
I'm not very good at giving money to charity. I don't really do that. I like to give money to people who are prepared to take risk, to innovate inside charities.
Well, all livery companies really have enterprise embedded in them historically because they grew out of trade, they grew out of entrepreneurs.
And it boils down to what is really important to you. So if someone says to me, if an entrepreneur or someone's experimenting, to your point, what should I do? I don't know how to give my money away. I say, well, why don't you start by giving your time to 2 or 3 things and then decide what passion might be cultivated from giving that time.
I grew up in a cooking background. It's what my parents did for a living. So Crisis, the homeless shelter charity, I have spent 4 or 5 nights every Christmas time going into their homeless shelters to cook meals for people. Most people are thinking about their own families, but I think it's important to think about those people who haven't got a family.
Last year we had a preschool in Northern Ireland which had suffered an arson attack over the weekend, and they were understandably in a bit of a panic because they didn't have anywhere for the children to go. And within 24 hours, the Weston family had found them a grant to enable them to start up there and then. They hired themselves a porter cabin, bought some toys, and got going straight away. So it isn't always just about the experimental. Sometimes it's just about something that makes an immediate difference to a community in need.
I was so shocked to discover that my gift of £50,000 to the Kensington Chelsea Community Foundation was the largest gift ever made in what is arguably the richest 4 square miles in the world. And it really shocked me. So I wanted to talk about it again. I wanted to say, isn't it sad that in this borough that has so much deprivation, sitting right alongside some of the richest people in the world, 50 grand is a large amount of money. If we were in Manhattan, that would have been 50 million.
But the thing that really struck me when I went to work at the Mercer's Company, knowing pretty nearly nothing about it when I got there, was not the money and the money that was given out, but were the individuals who enabled that to happen, who very quietly and privately, behind those rather anonymous walls on Cheapside, worked to look after the assets and then to give them away to many good causes across many sectors throughout this country. And what touched me most was seeing that quiet, private philanthropy and the commitment and the time people give to it.
You know, to a certain extent, you can rest assured that if your philanthropy at the end of the day affects just one life, because one life, as you know, affects other lives, almost has a domino effect, then at the end of your life you can know you've sort of done your bit.